Hey y'all, my name is Bryant Young.
And Derek Chaney.
Here with the Decent Dads Podcast, brand new episode.
That's right, and I feel like there's something different going on.
We made things pretty around here.
Beautiful. Not only that, but we had another beautiful guest on today.
This was a long time coming. We alluded to this earlier, but we have been talking about Danny Perches and his dad jokes for a long time.
Episode 1.
Exactly.
If I remember
I'm
right.
very excited to have him here. So
That's right.
His stories were good. His experience dadding is different than some of our other dads.
That's what I was going to say. His experiences and his stories are definitely different.
Yeah.
Which we get into that in the episode, but he talks about, raising his son with a condition that's, has some hurdles of its own. And then also, too, with him growing up and losing his dad at an early age as well, too. So lots of stories there.
Well, and even just the relationship of boy dad that then has a daughter, and then he becomes both of them dad.
Oh, yeah.
That experience, too.
I was trying to steal all of his advice there.
Exactly.
Taking notes over here.
Perfect. So I think you guys are going to learn from this one. I think you're going to like this one. And the Dad Joke King is here. So,
that's right.
Finally. Decent Dads. I think we just jump right into this, right?
Yeah, we should. Let's do it.
Decent Dads Podcast. Here we go. Welcome back to the Decent Dads Podcast. We're here to tell dad jokes, drink coffee, and build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. I'm Bryant Young, fearless leader, co-host, girl dad, and your friendly local insurance agent based out of Springfield, Missouri. And now, before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome the coolest co-host with the most, a fantastic soon-to-be father of 3, and the home loan expert. Folks, put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Derek Chaney. How are you, Derek?
I was holding my breath there. I was like, when's he going to release? Release. Doing good, man. It's a good day for a good day.
It's a good day.
Got beautiful winter weather outside.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting on the front porch waiting for you guys to get here. It's awesome.
73 degrees or whatever it is.
It's killer.
And we got some excellent hoppy coffee in
we
hand.
do. And our coffees are brought to you by our friends at Buff Studio, the official coffee sponsor of the Decent Dads Podcast. Buff Studio is a full-service architecture, engineering, and design firm with offices in Bentonville, Arkansas, and Springfield, Missouri. Learn more at buffstudio.co. Thanks, Buff Studio, for your support of the podcast and decent dads everywhere. Buff Studio, be a buffalo. Thanks, Buff Studio.
Absolutely. And we have an awesome guest, and I didn't even realize it till he's talking before we started recording here. He actually got a shout out, episode 1.
Big shoes to fill, baby.
Yeah,
and it only took 55 episodes later to actually get
podcast. That's why so much pressure at the beginning.
That's
I was
right.
like, I need to time this.
Okay, fair enough.
This needs to be right. Done the right way.
Well, Danny, we're excited to have you.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to have Danny here.
Me and Bryant know you a little bit.
Yeah.
Some people might not. So if you will, tell us who you are, what you do, give us your dad resume, tell us how many kids you got, what are their ages, and which one's your favorite.
You bet. All right, so Danny Perches. A dad of 2. I work for the city of Springfield, assistant director of economic vitality. Basically, what that means.
I know it sounds super fun.
So there's always a pause because
very vital.
There's always the question, what is that? So that's where I fill in the blank. So what that means, growing our economy by a couple of different ways, attracting new business, growing existing business, and supporting our startup entrepreneurship community.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So been doing that at the city for just over a year, but have almost 10 years of experience of doing economic development.
Nice.
But going back to why we're here, like I said, a dad of 2. My oldest son, Vin, he's 7. Mr. Personality, Mr. Attention, look at me. Right. I'm the center of attention. Also doesn't. His initials are VIP. So
oh gosh, even better.
We played into that, and he definitely embraces that. And then we have our daughter Sophie. She's 2. The exact opposite.
Yeah.
She's don't look at me, don't make eye contact. I'll just
be
anonymous
over
here in the corner.
Yeah.
But it's so fun. I love them both.
That's awesome.
They complement each other well.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm so excited to talk more about that. I didn't realize Vin's initials were VIP.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
That makes me
Fits
so
the personality,
Yeah.
Go with it.
Well, we're talking about kids. inevitably dads are going to experience their children having tantrums, regardless of age. What kind of tantrums have you been dealing with lately? Anything that stands out?
One that jumps out with Sophie. Being 2, that's more common to have tantrums at that age. That's probably an understatement.
Yeah.
But one of the fun ones that we had was so in the morning while we're getting ready, they're getting their breakfast. Usually that involves a cup of milk.
Yeah.
And so usually it's either me or my wife that gets whoever gets to it first. So one of these mornings we're filling it up, fill up the cup, heat up the milk, whatever, give it to the kids. Sophie's just losing it.
Not into it, huh?
I'm like, you want breakfast, though, don't you? Yeah, I want breakfast. And so it turns out she wanted a different colored cup.
Jesus.
Come on, Danny.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
How did you not know?
So out of the 4 colors, I picked the wrong one.
Yeah. Figured out, would you, Dad?
Rookie mistake.
So what color do we now know that we need to make sure the cup is?
No, it's never consistent. Never.
Depends what day it is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So this day she wanted the yellow cup.
Yeah. Oh, I have very distinct memories of fighting with my little brother over who got the opaque cup. Like we had the kids' cups, and they were a bunch of little plastic ones, and there was the yellow one and the blue one and the red one, and then there was one that was like kind of that semi-clear white one, and we both fought over that nonstop. Whoever got to it first. So yeah, there's definitely some truth to that kind of thought process.
Absolutely.
And then I will say a tantrum for my older son Vin.
Yeah.
One of them, like I said, at 7, it's not really a tantrum, but they still like to surprise you. They still like to surprise you. So this. He loves coloring, loves drawing. So we're doing some stuff at the kitchen table, working on some stuff, and I needed him to help me do a birthday card for my brother, his uncle. And so I put a package together. We're gonna send it off and getting ready to do that. So he's at the table with the sketch pad, coloring, drawing, doing all this stuff. I folded up a piece of paper. I told him, "Hey, I need you to write a card," and he loses it. I was like, dude, you're doing the exact same thing.
No, it's the same thing. Just redirect it.
Just different sheet of paper. You have to write a couple things.
Let's move it over here. Yeah.
And he's like, no, I can't do this. I don't want to do it. And after a couple tears, we got through it. But
that's so true though. Like the same. It's what's that? Like it's the idea of don't tell me what to do. I want you to ask me what to do or whatever.
Let it be my idea.
Yeah, my idea. Yeah, God forbid. Well, I got to check something off my dad list yesterday. I took Elsie hiking for the first time.
Cool. How was that?
Haven't had the opportunity to do that. That was like a big thing for me as a kid and a teenager. I did all Boy Scout stuff, and so I spent a ton of time in Busick State Park. Yeah. And so I got to take Else to Busick, and it was awesome. I mean, so many memories running around that place, and so it was fun to get to share that with her. Now she's 2.5; she'll be 3 in May. So like, not quite a lot.
How far did you get?
Happening exactly. We didn't get more than about a quarter mile away from the parking lot, but it was fun.
You still see the car.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, pretty much you could still see the car in the parking lot. We didn't get much past the creek and throwing rocks into the creek.
Oh yeah.
But we did also get to. Cross something off her list. I even taught her how to pee off of a log, which when she looks at me
impressive.
and goes,
"How did you teach her that?"
Well, touche. I have squatted over a log more times than I care to admit, and I figured that the at least some of the strategies translate to a little girl. So Elsie looks at me and goes, "I have to potty," and I was like, oh no, I'm in the middle of the woods.
I didn't think about that
I didn't
one.
think about this part at all. I'm just used to going to water a tree. So we find a log. I hold, we pull our little pants down in the middle of the woods, and she's got her butt hanging off the back of a log. I just kind of set her on one, and I've got this hilarious little picture of just like a wet stain down the back of the log. Sent it to my wife. Your daughter learned how to pee in the woods just now. And so as generally as it goes, when you start to go number 1, sometimes number 2 is also something that is going to happen. Yeah. So but she doesn't tell me I have to poop until we get our pants pulled back up. We've done a little dab wiping and everything. We get 15 steps away from the log. I need to poop. And I'm like, okay, we're not equipped for this at all. So I throw her on my shoulders and run back to the car because there are not restrooms at this place.
Right.
I mean, it's a national park. It's excuse me, a state park. There's no bathrooms. Bear in mind, I'm 25 minutes from home. The nearest bathroom that I can find, open on a Saturday at like 10 o'clock in the morning, was the Starbucks bathroom in Ozark. So we had to haul ass to Ozark. And we learned the phrase, hold it.
Yeah.
I kept saying, okay, Elsie, you have to hold it. She's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to hold on to. What are you talking about? The
squeeze
teddy bear?
the
What do you
booty
mean,
cheeks,
hold it? Yeah. So we learned the term hold it. So it wasn't so much a tantrum as it was an oh shit moment, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What about you?
Well, mine is more of kind of like the evolution of, I think, the tantrum that I told last episode, where like we took the front of the crib off Brody's crib, and so it's like a little kid's bed now, and every time we put him down, he gets ticked off, runs to the door, yells for a minute, and he lays down and he looks underneath the door and between the door and the floor there, and just lets us know. And so now he doesn't really like lose it too much, but he'll run up there and he'll be like, "Help me, Daddy, help me!" And he sticks his little hands underneath the door. The first time he did that, I was like, "Oh no, like something happened, right?"
Right.
And so like I go in there, I open up his door, and he like walks around the corner of the door with just a little shit grin on his face, like, "I got you, Dad." And I was like, okay, you got me this time, and he got me another time after that. But then after that, I was like, nope.
Little boy that cried wolf, baby.
We're done with this. And so now he does every time we put him down. He'll be like, "Help me, and he's
oh my God, I can just hear it in his voice too.
And he's even learned, I guess, what our feet looks like, because if I walk by, "Help me, Daddy." If Allie walks by, "Help me, Mama." And even Liam, if Liam walks by, "Help me, Bubby, help me." And so it's just like, it's the funniest thing. And like I said, his little hands are sticking underneath the door there. And it's turned into like an inside family joke, anytime any of us need help, help me, and so it's not really a tantrum, but it's like, it's evolved to something that's pretty dang funny now. And that's just Brody for you, man.
Perfect. So. Well, my request for a dad hack is going to involve that. So let's get right to that.
Cool. Let's jump into it. So Danny, as you know, that's the next thing we ask everybody is, what's a good dad hack?
Dad hack alert!
You have, or maybe some good dad advice that you've received over the years.
Well, I think the easiest dad hack is find the perfect wife.
Oh,
preach.
That's fair.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Because I was thinking through all these hacks that I have, and I was like, man, a lot of these are my wife's ideas.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
I mean, that's kind of an easy one.
I was like, just marry.
I think my dad hack today I stole from Allie.
Activities, all the distractions, all the different things. Like, I don't know what I would do.
Oh, yeah. I firmly believe that 50% of the dad I am today is from podcast advice, and the other half is because of my wife. I get no credit whatsoever.
No original content here, people.
But then I thought into an actual hack or something that I did feel somewhat responsible for.
Sure.
Taking advantage of all the free stuff in the community.
Okay.
So,
like,
Vin loves to read the library. We're there a lot of times, getting books and just hanging out. Bass Pro.
Yep.
Of course, now we have the family membership for the aquarium, so we're there like every other week.
Nice.
But different things like that, just take advantage of all the free stuff, or like you said, the
parks.
The parks.
Yeah.
The state park. Different things like that you can eat up a big chunk of time, teach the kids a little bit about random stuff, nature, or whatever you're doing. But that was a big lifesaver for me. I know early on we were both on different shifts. So my wife was working nights when our son was first born.
I didn't know that. Okay.
And so on weekends, it'd be me and the little guy, and Mom was sleeping.
Sure.
And,
makes complete
and
sense.
so it'd be everything from, and of course, when he was little, we didn't have to pay all the money to go into the aquarium, so we'd just stroll around, go into the free part, and all right, cool, let's hang out here,
stuff,
and then, or even a trip to Lowe's.
Hey,
dude, I'm telling you,
look at all these plants.
Yep.
Right.
Oh, I mean, we talked about
lights,
that.
yeah.
We talked about that
The
way
fan
early.
section.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
look at all the lights moving
They're
and
spinning. Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that early. Just involve them in your day-to-day stuff because your 1,000th trip to Lowe's is their first.
Oh, right.
Or your 1,000th look at the toy section in Target is Mecca for them. So it's just a completely different. Yeah, that's awesome.
Be careful when leaving Lowe's though, because they have those cars, those toy cars, right by the cash register.
Oh,
every time, man.
Really?
Yeah, every time.
I mean, that's why the toy section at Menards is right there by the checkout
oh,
station
right?
too.
It's like they're not dumb. They
Yeah,
know what
no,
they're
they know
doing.
exactly what's going on.
with our youngest, it's definitely candy.
Yeah.
Oh.
The oldest, it's toys.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't hit the candy phase yet. It's still trucks and tractors, dinosaurs, whatnot. So yeah, Well, shoot. Now that you say that, I can't. Yeah, this isn't even a dad hack. I stole this from my wife, but I was gonna
See?
I was
gonna pawn it off
there you
as
I was
his
gonna
own
take
idea.
credit for it today, but and it's really simple, but it's a great idea. Kind of two things here. Again, we joked about the weather being super nice today and these past several days. So I don't know if you guys have like picnic tables or anything outside of your house, but when you can eat a meal outside, absolutely do it. Because that saves. I don't know about you guys, but my kids are the messiest freaking eaters ever. Yeah. And it's like we did spaghetti today for lunch, and there's spaghetti,
Brave.
all over,
Brave.
all over. Luckily, we ate outside.
That's why he's got a clean shirt
We
on.
ate outside.
He changed
Yeah,
clothes.
I just changed before I walked in here. There's spaghetti everywhere. Brody, it's just, I mean, he just has like a red mask
Hits
on his
himself in the
face.
face
Literally,
with
no.
spaghetti noodles?
He puts his face in the plate, just, and it just everywhere. And so we've been utilizing the crap out of that one lately, and I
love
it's
it.
been working well.
Nice.
So do it when you can.
Well, you talked about Brody not wanting to get out of his room, and I talked about this a couple episodes ago. Excuse me, wanting to get out of his room. And we're fighting. We also just moved Elsie to the big kid bed within the last couple of months, and she going to sleep isn't too much of a problem. Once she's in there, it's okay. We can get her knocked out. But it's the next morning that is the problem. The fact that she can get out of bed means the first time she rolls over and kind of opens her eyes, she's like, oh, well, I can just get out of bed now.
Yeah.
And she can get out of her room. She can reach the door handle, and she can get into our room because she can reach the door handle. And so it's most mornings, it is definitely before 6 a.m. Couple of mornings, it's been pre 5 a.m.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. It's unbelievable. So I guess
because I text you early one morning, the other morning, and you text right back.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I'm awake. We're here. So I guess my question is, do you guys have any ideas for me? And I know you've talked about this some of the time, but like ideas to keep the kids in bed longer or to keep them sleeping longer, because I don't feel like she's under rested. You know what I mean? Like I feel like she's getting enough sleep. But it's just, we go to bed at 8 o'clock and we wake up at 5 or 6. And it's like, holy shit. Yeah. That's a early morning for me.
Baby gate on the other side of that door.
So is that that's what I thought you guys
that's
had
what
done.
we did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like, because Leah and Brody, he can open his door too.
Yeah.
But so we put the baby gate on so he can't get
But he
out.
just stands there and shouts, I assume. Okay.
Lets us know.
And you just gotta
work
past that.
Yeah, poor guy. I mean, eventually he gets tired enough. He just lays there on the floor, and that's where he's been sleeping the past 2 weeks. But I mentioned too, it was like Liam went through the same thing, and he probably slept on the floor for a month, and then he got over it. So,
okay, all right.
Yeah.
Did you guys deal with any of that? I mean,
No, I mean,
does Vin wake up early?
oh, he wakes up early.
Yeah.
Except
He just
like
lets you know
during
about it.
except during the week when we need to wake up early for
course.
school.
So true. Yeah,
such
right.
a
Isn't
kid
that,
thing.
isn't that absolutely the
So,
way
like,
that happens?
Like this morning's a perfect example. I mentioned before we kicked this off that we were out late, and it was a late night for us, which isn't. We're usually at home and in bed by 10 p.m. even on a weekend. So we were out late last night at an event, and sure enough, so we'll get to this in a little bit. But my son, he uses a wheelchair to get around, and I glanced over at my watch, and I see it, and it's like 6 a.m. I was like, okay. And I just hear the rolling of Vin's wheels, like, and I'm like, and at first I heard him, and I was like, okay, he's going to the bathroom, because I heard the toilet flush. I said, okay, we're good. And then I heard the wheels moving again, and I was like, no, it's still sound. I still hear it. So that means he's traveling further. I'm like, that means he's coming towards the bedroom. And sure enough, I just hear that.
Open the
Hey,
door.
Dad. Hey, bud.
Hey, pal.
What's up? Oh, not much. Can I tell you a story? And
Man.
I love this kid. The energy that he wakes up with
Yeah.
every single morning, regardless of what the situation is. I wish I could bottle it up and
Yeah,
sell
sell
it.
it for sure. Yeah.
But like, it doesn't matter. Every single morning. Hey, Dad, what's up? I got a story to tell you. Or, hey, did you know this fact about dinosaurs? Like,
no, I didn't.
no,
buddy.
but I do now.
Now I do. Thank you for sharing that with me, buddy. So we still have those.
It just happens.
It just happens.
I mean, he's 7.
But
so he
I have heard friends that it's like a little light, or I don't know exactly what it looks like.
Yep.
Where
The noisemaker. Yeah, we have the same thing.
or something like that. Where no, but this is where once it turns green,
Right.
then they can get out of bed, or it's okay to get out
Yeah.
of bed. And
We're
but
still
I've never
working on
seen
that.
how.
So
how
our
those actually
noisemaker is programmable,
Mm-hmm.
and it's also you can do it through your phone. So you can set it up at midnight, go to red,
Okay.
and then
that's
at 7 a.m. go to green. Because I don't necessarily want it red when she goes to bed because it's
Right.
scary
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
right? But at midnight go to red, and then at 7 a.m. go to green. We've never made it to green. We
working
told
on
her
that.
if it's red, stay in bed, which was like
Yeah,
rhymey and
yeah.
stuff. She will come into our room and poke Liv on the face and go, if it's red, stay in bed. That means go back
you
to bed.
stay in bed.
But in your bed? Yeah, babe, jump in here. 3 seconds later. Get out of bed now? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Let's go. So, yeah, sorry. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. It's one of those deals where Liv and I are both looking at each other going, whose morning is it? Whose turn is it to go get the kid?
Yep.
Well,
We're
Danny,
working
you
through that.
started to talk about it. Let's talk about Vin.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your experience with him. You alluded to him using a wheelchair. Can you tell us about being a dad of a son with a physical disability?
Yeah, you bet. So Vin, he's 7, as I mentioned, and he has a condition called brittle bone disease. He was that's a condition that he'll live with the rest of his life, and basically what it comes down to is all the bones in his body are highly susceptible to fracturing. So there's different severities. He's moderate in terms of severity of the type of brittle bone disease that he has. But that's something that we discovered when when my wife was still pregnant with him.
Oh, really?
So that was something at the gender ultrasound. It was something that
Pop during that test?
when they were doing the scans and they said, hey, it's a boy. So, of course, as a dad, you're excited about it.
Yeah, for sure.
As your first being a boy. But then afterwards, they said something looks different.
Okay.
And of course, that just sends panic.
Oh, for
through you.
sure.
And after a number of tests, after them telling us it could be 100 different things and a majority of them being fatal, they ended up doing a test and finding out, hey, this is actually what it is. My wife actually works in healthcare. So, that faith is really important to us. And so I say that my wife, with her background and her expertise, that's a godsend just in and of itself. But yeah, going back, he has brittle bone disease. He's had, we've stopped keeping track, but easily over 50 fractures since he's
gonna
been
ask the
born.
question.
You have
7.
kids. You have kids that are very severe to where if you shake their hand too aggressively, you could break something. Or you have kids where if they cough too hard, they can fracture a rib. Thankfully, he's not that severe. We've done we go to a children's hospital to get rods in all of his long bones. So he's had about 6 surgeries. And then he does water therapy to help strengthen the muscles around his bones. And then additionally, he gets an infusion treatment every 3 months that helps make his bones more dense.
Okay.
So as he's growing, and then certainly these peak years where you do most of your growing, that's when a lot of these infusions are used to help just strengthen that bone, make it more dense.
Makes complete sense.
And so, yeah, we've been That's kind of Vin for you. He's one of the things. So going back to his initials, once we found out about his condition, once we researched more about what it was, what it wasn't, we just knew in our hearts that this kid was going to be something special. And so that's kind of why we did the VIP for the initials.
I love it.
And like I said, he embraces it. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Nothing wrong with
He
that.
embraces
Nothing wrong with that.
the VIP.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a ball full of energy. He's a crazy
7-year-old
boy.
Of course. You can't take the 7-year-old out of him, right?
No. But yeah, that's kind of what we've been living with him, and just trying to educate others around us on what the condition is. So we've always been very open about his condition. Certainly in the school setting, we try to, whenever we've gone to different schools or moved to a different school, we always meet with staff just to educate them on what it is and what it isn't. Same with the teachers and the students and parents and all that. So we're really open about it, just because we want to show him the example of being good advocates for him. So then once he's older and can do that for himself, he can be a strong advocate for himself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's, I mean, we've had another dad come on, and that was his entire deal, was just advocating for your family.
Right.
And so I like that next step that you're talking about there, where it's advocating for him now so that he can see how it's done when it, advocating for yourself. I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you started talking about Vin and your experience raising him. One of the things that you said in the questionnaire that really stood out to me was encouraging Vin to dream big. And I wondered if you would talk more about that, because I just found that pretty profound.
Yeah. So with his condition, he's gonna be a pretty small guy.
Sure.
He's not gonna grow to be as tall as I don't like to say normal, but as a 7-year-old that doesn't have this condition. So even within the class, or he's now getting into the age where he's picking up on the fact that he's different, and which, you hate to see some of that innocence leave those little ones. But with that, one of the things that we've always wanted to really make sure that he knew is that he can do whatever he wants. It may look a little bit different. We may have to go about it a little bit differently, but he can pursue whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
Even just as simple as chores. One of the things when we found out he had this condition, the house we were in at that time had a very steep driveway.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And
a wheelchair.
And we knew
chair,
this kid's going to use a wheelchair. If he starts rolling, I mean, he's going to be 2 blocks down the street.
No joke, right?
Getting
up to speed.
Knowing him now, he'd probably love
want
that.
Fair enough.
But we're like, no, this
all gas,
this
no
is not,
brakes, Dad. Here we
This is not
go.
going to work. Not going to work at all. So we found a home, maybe I think almost 5 years ago now. Has a ramp in the garage, has a wheelchair accessible bathroom.
Perfect.
Has all these things. But one of the things that was important to us was that, all right, you need to do your chores. Like we're not gonna baby you or you have to do it. One of the fun things right now, since Sophie, little sister, is obsessed with Big Brother, he's aware of that, and so we'll be just today we were sitting at the kitchen table. He was drawing and dropped his pencil. Dad, I dropped my pencil. Okay, you can get it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and then I walk away and I hear, hey, Sophie, can you get my pencil? I was like, Vin, no.
Hey, sis,
Right.
hook a brother up.
Right.
And of course, she's more than happy to do it.
Sure.
Because, little sister is obsessed with Big
yeah.
Brother. But yeah, just small things like that. And even when it comes to sports or whatever, one, he's not going to be playing tackle football with his condition. That's just
the reality of the situation.
Not going to
right?
happen.
Yeah.
But we're trying, with that, we're looking at what other ways he can get involved in some team type of activities. The school that he's at with PE, there's some limitations there, but the coach does a really great job on finding ways that he can incorporate and just participate in the activities as well. So that's just kind of a motto that we've really adopted, and kind of this mantra that you can do whatever you want to do. Might look a little bit different, but we're going to do it.
That's
even with some of we've done some fishing events where there's accessible docks where he can roll his wheelchair. Of course, with him, he can still move around a little bit. Sometimes he's just really sore and achy, so he prefers the wheelchair. But we encourage him to walk whenever he can and encourage him to move because we don't want him to be so reliant on these external factors. But then also we want him to be able to, going back to that advocacy part, to be able to say when something's uncomfortable, he doesn't like something.
Find a line. Yeah.
And encourage him to speak for himself.
That's neat. I hadn't thought about fishing.
Yeah.
That's great. Is he big into fishing?
Yeah, we've really enjoyed it. We've gone to a couple of different events at Big Cedar, and we've had a lot of fun catching some bluegill and.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome.
That's all right, man. I just love your guys' attitude with that because, you're not discouraging them because I feel like that could be easy to do, with, the extra hoops, you're going to have to jump through or whatever it may be, but it's just encouraging them and knowing that, like you just said there, you might not be able to do it just like the other kids, but you can still do it, right? So good for you guys, man.
Well, and also awesome. Not babying him.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And that's a thing that I catch myself doing with Elsie.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
is that like I catch myself doing that all the time, but I have to remember that she's got to be able to do stuff for herself. And so I would imagine that particularly with Vin's situation, you still want him to be able to be independent, want him to not be so codependent on everybody around him. That's awesome.
Well, and even as like a parent, even when our kids ask for something simple, you're like, oh yeah, I'll go do that because it's easier and quicker. But then you're like, wait, nope.
Yeah.
Backtrack here. No, you do it.
What was it that Travis Lyle said all those months ago?
What do you say?
The 5 hardest words that you have to deal with is, let me help you with that.
Yeah.
A 2-minute task is now going to take 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's kind of the opposite direction, but
it pays off.
I cut you off.
No. It pays off. Because I know like stuff that like Liam, he used to always ask us to help him with. Now he's just like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go get that or whatever. And it's like, man, like not that long ago, he was like, Dad, can you go get that for me? And it's like, no. You can go up those stairs and grab that yourself. Like, gosh, man.
I am not going to get your blanket again.
Literally, that's what it was.
I know.
Most times.
That's what I was getting at.
So, yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, Danny, I know you lost your dad at a fairly early age, whenever you were a teenager. And so I know that's got to be a tough time in those teenage years, losing somebody like that. So if you will, talk a little bit more about that and kind of how you dealt with that and your experience with that.
Yeah, so...
And how it shaped. I would imagine it shapes kind of how you parent now.
Yeah, so I was 14 when I lost my dad. First day of high school, actually. First day, freshman year.
Serious?
Yeah. Wow. I have a younger brother. He was 8, so we're 6 years apart. He was 8. He had Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS. Something that obviously we weren't really expecting.
No.
It was really tough at that time growing up. Dad was always the guy that took me and my brother to school. Mom kind of similarly worked evenings. So it was Dad throughout the day and then doing all the activities with him, and then Mom kind of in between after work or whatever. So that was kind of obviously losing a parent was really rough, but then that shift, one being the older sibling, kind of taking into that leader role, just kind of
that makes sense.
Jumping into that, being kind of trying to be a father figure for my younger brother. We always joke that we didn't get along until he graduated from high school, because I guess I was too much of a father figure for him.
Quit dadding me, older brother.
Yeah. No, but me and my brother are super close. Love that guy.
Awesome.
But it really, really shaped how I grew up. One, I grew up probably a little bit quicker, losing a parent that young, but then also having my mom raise me and my brother, certainly got some different skill sets, but then I found myself and my mom, because she knew what she was doing, surrounding us with strong male figures. Even to this day, I have really great mentors that are strong male figures to me that have helped me even in some of those tougher times. My father-in-law now, he's a great father figure to me. but yeah, it was tough to navigate, especially those formative years.
Can't even imagine. Yeah.
But my mom's a rock star. She
Yeah, it sounds like
Give
it.
her a shout out
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was tough to navigate, but we did it one day at a time, and yeah, just surrounding yourself. We had a really strong support network.
Yeah.
Cool.
And a good support system of family and friends and just different people that loved my dad and were really close with him, that after he passed, they did everything to help us out and make sure we were in a good place, just because of how young we were.
Yeah, made it a point to seek you guys out. That's great.
Yeah, that was gonna be one thing I was getting ready to ask, is like how your mom found those mentors. Were they family? Were they friends? Were they coaches? What
Yeah,
how'd that
most of
work
it
out?
was around kind of the church community.
Oh, okay.
So just
Awesome.
we always grew up very active in our church, and especially after that happened, just an influx of people were, especially around the holidays, because it was in August, so really close was going to be that first set of holidays. So we had so many people that were bringing us gifts and just being with us, and just flooding the house with activity and keeping us active,
Occupied,
distracted,
sure.
occupied.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just to
Distracted.
keep our minds off of things. But yeah, that was kind of the biggest thing, is just that family network that we had that helped us get through it.
Did your brother have kids?
No.
Okay.
no.
So I wondered, because I wonder if and when he has kids, if he will take from how you dadded him a little bit, right? Like, I wonder if some of that'll rub off. But I was in the back of my head, I'm like, I wonder if he's got kids. That would be interesting to know. Yeah. Okay, so let's change gears a little bit. You started to talk about fishing with Vin. I know your set of hobbies, mostly because they are so incredibly diverse, because it ranges from woodworking to bike riding, and there's some Legos in there, and there's some other things. Like, talk about introducing your kids to your hobbies, particularly with Vin being differently able. I would be curious to know kind of how that comes into play when you're talking about introducing your kids to hobbies.
Yeah, so I just put Vin in front of the bandsaw and let him.
There's only one way to learn, son.
Woodworking we haven't
experience.
Woodworking we haven't jumped into quite yet.
Sure.
But the Lego thing for sure, that's been a fun one. I kind of picked it up again. I think most of us can think back to growing up and having a Lego set or two, or 100.
A bunch.
And so again, this was something that I was obsessed with as a kid. Just loved building and putting stuff together. And then during the pandemic, everyone
what the heck else are you supposed to do
was
with
stuck.
yourself?
So it was either outside activities, finding new hobbies, whatever. And I just started picking it up, buying some of these sets. And now that I have big kid money, buying some of those sets that you weren't allowed to get when you were, So did a lot of that. And quick
Kid money is so true.
That's why I wonder, were Legos as expensive when we were kids as they are now? Because it is insane now.
Yeah, they're getting pretty expensive now.
Prohibitively expensive. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. But anyway, so I have my office at home where I have all these sets that I've built, or all these creations that I've built myself. And so as Vin got old enough, certainly we started with the bigger the blocks,
Duplo
the
blocks.
Duplos, and started getting with that. And then as he got more advanced and knew how to do stuff, he would ask me about my sets, which can't really touch those.
Hands off, buddy. They're glued.
And so, no, they're not
I'm
glued.
joking.
Come on.
I know.
We don't glue sets.
That's a curse word in the Lego
Yeah,
circles.
jeez. Sorry, guys. I gotta go. No,
And I'm out.
I'm out. Get me out of here.
no, but
Over the line. Over the line.
But yeah, once he started getting interested in some of the stuff that I was working on, then I started buying him some of the smaller sets to get introduced to that, and now he's got such a creative mind that he'll watch a show and he'll be like, hey, I'm gonna make this figure from this show, and he does some pretty impressive stuff.
Cool.
But yeah, that's been a fun thing, just because one, it can be a really good you get a lot of skills from following directions, identifying those pieces, fine motor skills, that kind of stuff. But then, as much as it is an individual thing, just sharing time and sharing an activity that one you grew up doing and now do it as an adult, but then doing it with your kids. That's been a really fun experience.
Yeah. Sweet. Has Sophia started to look in on some of that stuff, or is she just completely not interested? Like the Duplos, obviously, I would assume that would be more of interest.
Not a lot of interest right now. Every now and then she'll see a set and try to mess with it or break it.
But mostly it's just throw it across the room.
Yeah,
I got one of those.
Yeah, but not quite into that. I don't know if that will be her thing or not. But
does she, like, Elsie's whole thing is she wants to just stack everything up and then look at it for a minute and then knock it down.
Yep.
And that's the whole entire experience at this point.
For Vin early on, that's what we would do with Duplos. He'd say, hey, let's build a tower, and just stack one on one, and then just
boop, knock it over.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. Pickup sticks, 64 card pickup again, right?
Yeah. What is the coolest thing you guys built?
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we focus a lot on sets with him, but he likes to build like animal habitats.
Cool.
And so he has other toys that are animals, and then he'll like to build houses for them. He's always, since early on, he said he's wanted to be a vet.
Oh, cool.
So he loves animals. Hence, we love going to the zoo and the aquarium.
Perfect.
So I think that's kind of the coolest thing. But then also, there was a time we would read books, and he would find some characters, and he would build his own version of them. And they were like really accurate.
That's cool.
Like insanely accurate. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need tips, bud.
Yeah. Teach me your ways, pal. I need some help on this.
For real.
Well, because I know you build like sets that are either off the dome or from like custom designs from online.
Yeah.
Like, because you showed me some pictures of the tower. That you built, and it's all the different like sitcoms or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's all the different like.
Wait, what?
It's the Friends apartment, and it's the Parks and Rec office, or the Seinfeld house.
Oh, and it's just like stacked
up in a skyscraper looking.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's so freaking cool. Okay. He showed me some pictures of it. It's
okay. Well, you have to show me
ever.
after we get done recording.
It's the coolest thing ever.
I'm jealous, but no, that's awesome, man. Yeah, Legos. I'm trying to get my boys interested in it. Right now, Brody just tries to eat them, and Liam gets frustrated with them. So we're working on it.
His basement is mostly Nerf darts.
Yeah, for sure.
And that the dads end up stealing and shooting at each other. And then the kids just like
we had
quietly leave and run into
we
the
had
other
a Super
room.
Bowl party, and it was all dads in the basement shooting Nerf guns at each other, and all the kids were upstairs.
A bunch of 30-somethings just being idiots.
That's awesome.
But yeah, speaking of boys, we are about to have a little girl here in July.
No.
So I am trying to get tips and tricks on raising a little girl. So you got one of each. So tell me a little bit about the differences between raising Vin, the little boy, and Sophia, the little girl.
A lot of differences.
Yeah.
I grew up with a younger brother, and then having a girl. I remember before we had Sophie, there were a couple times where I had friends and they had daughters that we were getting presents for, and I remember walking down the aisles in Target and just being like, does she like dolls, I guess?
Or pink? Something pink, maybe?
Pink, something in the pink category. So that's been a whole just different thing to navigate, and it's been really fun. So Sophie, being 2.5, she's big into the whole dress up.
It's fun.
The pretend makeup, that kind of stuff. So that's been fun. She likes clothes and all that kind of stuff. She does dive into the cars and the dinosaurs, which is, I was like, okay, that we're on familiar territory.
Yeah.
So
what's in the house, right?
Yeah.
Got to play with what's available.
Yeah, and so that's been the really fun part is just and I think we touched on this earlier, and Derek, we've talked about this before. Is they're similar, obviously, because they're half me and half mom, but then they're so different. Not just because it's boy girl, but then just the personality, the different likes and dislikes. But like this morning, I was doing some chores around the house, and she'd keep on bringing me like these necklaces and clip-on earrings that she wanted to put on, and so that was fun, and just doing different activities like that. But it's so different. But again, wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that literally this morning. The boys are in the living room playing with toys, and Liam, I don't know, he's building something. Brody's knocking it down, and then Brody starts playing with toys, and he's launching them across the living room. And Hallie's like, it's probably a good thing that we're having a little girl, because if we had a third boy, I don't know if there'd be any toys left for them.
Yeah,
Like,
or a house for them to
Yeah,
live
right,
in,
or a house.
because they would try
Yeah.
to burn it down.
yeah. So yeah.
So I guess going into that, Derek, what was the reaction?
My reaction?
No, of the
Of the
two
boys?
of finding out not
that's
just
funny.
another sibling, but a
Yeah.
sister.
A girl.
Yeah. So Liam, he's old enough that he can comprehend it, right?
Mhm, yeah.
And he is super excited, and he's been honestly really good with babies for as long as I can remember. Like he's always been like super gentle, and like he's like, oh, they're so cute, and like really really good with kids smaller than him. And so he is like legit excited, and like he'll kiss Allie's belly like every morning and every night,
Awesome.
like, and
Yeah,
say
I love that.
and talk to Lily and stuff, and
Little Lily.
and so it's super cute. Brody is the exact opposite of that, and we are terrified for what he's going to do when she gets here.
Bowling ball boy. I
Because
can't wait.
we ask him, we're like, Brody, are you excited to meet Lily? No. It's like, are you excited to have a sister? No. Like, I mean, he's just like, no. Which is funny too, because like Brody's like his personality, kind of like what you was talking about, like with Sophia, like he'll just go off and do his own thing. He doesn't really care about you paying attention to him or anything,
Yeah.
or if somebody else, like a little sister or something, is paying attention to him. But what will throw him for a loop is when little sister, wants to play with his toy or something.
Ooh, yeah.
Maybe it's just the phase that we're in right now, but he's having a hard time sharing. Right
Sharing's
now.
not the game, huh?
Yeah, but so we have both ends of the spectrum there covered.
Yeah.
So we shall see how that goes.
Well, and I will say I kind of got a little bit of a reality check. You started talking about like dress up and pink and stuff, and so I didn't grow up with girls other than my mother. I had a couple of female cousins, so I've talked about this ad nauseum. But I wasn't really sure about little girl, right? Like I grew up with a bunch of dudes. And so I was talking to a mentor of mine, Jocelyn Baldner, about right before Elsie was here. And I was like, yeah, when I was a kid, I did Legos and I did, I like to build and do that kind of stuff. And so I got to figure out what a girl likes. And she kind of looked at me and goes, hey, dumbass. I don't think she actually called me a dumbass, but
She was thinking it.
She was for sure. She's like, hey, girls like Legos too. I was like, oh yeah. And so that's been something that's kind of stuck in my head, that it's like the gender specific stuff. I mean, there are some things that I expected. We've got baby dolls, we've got, like dolls and dress up and stuff. But then we've also got, basketball hoops and trucks and dinosaurs and the kind of stuff that you would generally associate with little boys. And she loves all of it.
Yeah.
And so it is one of those deals where I kind of got that slap at the beginning where it's like, hey, dumbass, they're just little kids. They like playing with
They don't
stuff.
care.
There's nothing,
Yeah.
there's no gender associated with it at that
Yeah.
point. It's just stuff, toys. I mean, we realized, I don't know how many years into it, that Elsie didn't have a baby doll yet. I think she was 1.5, because I think it was Emmy's birthday party, and they've got a ton of little Lyles.
I remember that 'cause she was just walking around.
She was walking around with 2 baby dolls in her arms the whole time. We were like, oh shit, our little girl doesn't have baby dolls yet. And so we, of course, Liv and I immediately separately went and bought baby dolls. So all of a sudden there's 6 of them in the house, just 0 to 6. Like, crap.
So funny story about baby dolls, because we have 2 boys, so we haven't
None of that stuff.
haven't got
yet,
any
sure.
of those. But they have 2 little girl cousins, and they had a bunch, and so they let Liam and Brody borrow a baby doll in like a little car seat so that we could see how they would treat the baby.
I
right?
love that.
And again, like just like I was talking about earlier, like Liam's so gentle and just holding him, caressing him, and whatnot, and Brody's over here just like body slamming, like wrestling, because this doll's like almost the size of Brody. So he's like, "Oh, somebody I can play with, right?"
Yeah.
And so he's over here just wrestling with him. We're like, "Oh, this poor child." Oh man.
Well, and you mentioned something earlier about like your best dad hack was finding a good wife, right? Like finding the best wife,
100%,
which is
yeah.
hysterical to me, but also so freaking true. So, tips and tricks for finding that person and/or keeping that person happy. Anything that you like to lay into or very specific about to make sure that relationship is still solid, so you don't, lose that best part of the parenting relationship?
Yeah, I'd say, well, maybe prioritize the relationship for sure. That's one thing that I have to remind my lovely wife of taking time for herself, taking time for us. I'm usually the one that's
right.
more
so hard to do sometimes.
I'll admit it, I'm very, very selfish, and she always picks on me. She's like, "You have a lot of hobbies that take a lot of time."
Yep.
And I don't even golf.
And you don't even golf.
No.
You beat me to it.
Yeah, I don't even golf. She's like, all your hobbies, like whether you're going on a run or on a bike ride, like it's hours. Like, yeah. Like, well, it's not fun if you only do it for like 10 minutes.
I don't get very far.
So that's one thing we try to prioritize date nights, hanging out.
Good for you.
We've got a handful of people that can watch the kids. And so usually at least once a month or we had the event last night that we went to. And so we try to find things to help prioritize the relationship and put us first. But of course, as we all know, what do you do when you're out on a date? What do you talk about? The kids.
Your kids.
Yeah. Inevitably, right?
What else? Yeah.
So it's funny. We're like, hey, let's take time. Let's remove ourselves from the kids and just have a one-on-one date night. And then, we just start talking about the kids. Like, what are we doing?
This funny thing they said the
or
other
school.
day.
What are we planning for school this week? Or how are we going to fix this? And so that's kind of the biggest thing for us is just prioritizing time for ourselves and making sure that the relationship is the focus.
Sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a good one. well, I was thinking about it too because I just knowing about your experience with Vin, I would imagine that talking about having that support circle system here local, your mother-in-law spent the first several years of Vin's schooling with him, right? Was she?
Oh yeah.
What was that?
Was it?
Was she?
Yeah.
Was she did his para? Is that how that
Yeah,
worked?
yeah, in a way. So she's a retired educator.
That's what
music
it was.
teacher.
Yeah. And
So
so's Grandpa, right?
Yeah. So Nana and Papa are both retired. Well, my father-in-law is retired a couple times, but he's still working.
I know some kids that played for him. Yeah.
But he's both of them are retired music educators. So one of the things when we found out about Vin and his condition, and my mother-in-law was getting ready to retire, she wanted us to feel that we had that support, and so I think she was already planning on retiring, but she kind of prioritized and said, "Hey, I want to retire and make sure I can help you guys out."
Cool. Yeah. I love that.
And so we had that really strong support system, and of course, when you're getting ready to send a kid to school, that's stressful. But when you're getting ready to send a kid that has a physical disability that can't be handled a certain way, or you can't really bump him, that jumps the stress level a little bit more. So we were looking at different schools and daycares and preschools and stuff like that we could send him to, and we finally found one. They were super receptive. They said, we've never dealt with anyone with this type of condition, but again, it was a faith-based organization, and they said, we feel like it's our calling to see what we can do to help you guys. And so as part of that, my mother-in-law for 3 years went with him as his aide or his para, so helped out, was kind of a co-teacher with the class too, and did that for 3 years, all through kindergarten.
So cool.
And then our goal was that when we got to first grade, we were in a new school now, that at first grade he was going to go by himself. So kindergarten was kind of, all right, this is where rubber meets the road, and really pushing him. And so during that kindergarten year, my mother-in-law would still go with him, but throughout the day she would remove herself from different things and try, again, pushing him to do things on his own. If he has questions, raise his hand, those kinds of skills.
Nice.
And so by the time we got to first grade, she went with him maybe the first 2 or so weeks. And then we had the talk, and we had been talking for a year or so now, and he's like, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to go by myself. So yeah, that was a great help. And again, part of our circle of support that really helped us through it.
Well, Danny, the unofficial part of this podcast that we always like to ask the dads is share some funny stories with us. So I know you've hinted at several times here already that Vin's a pretty funny kid, and it sounds like Sophia can be as well too. So share with us some of your best stories you got.
Yeah. So like I said, Vin doesn't know a stranger.
I love it.
We'll strike up a conversation.
Man after my own heart there.
We'll go. Yeah,
him and Bryant, put them in a
get
room.
along. Just talk at each other for hours on end.
At being
All
But one of the funny ones, like we've walked into a store, a smaller store, and we'll walk in and it's busy. We go, "Hi, everyone," and like,
oh, that's so sweet,
buddy,
though. God, I love that.
That's nice, but we don't have to greet everyone when we walk in.
Everyone.
But then going along with that, there was one day we have a big wagon that I pushed both of them in, and this was before we had Sophie, and I think it was just one of those days where Mom needed a break, and I was like, all right, let's go, Vin. Let's go do something.
Let's go.
So we were out walking on a trail, and there was an older couple that were getting ready to pass by them. He goes, "Hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandpa." And I go, "Vin, those aren't your grandparents." He goes, "I know." He said, but they're older. I go, "Well, yeah."
Fair.
I said that's accurate.
Yeah. No, at least you're observant.
You're not wrong.
And see, that's the funny part, that most of our stories were like, "Well, yes, you were right."
But
like
We have to learn about what's
that's
rude
a
and what's
correct
not rude.
assessment. I said they do look like Nana and Papa, but sometimes you don't know if they're a Nana or Papa, and some people may not like to be called that.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, okay." But just different things like that.
I'm glad I know that now.
Yeah.
I'll do something different.
But just the different types of things and lately I think some of that attitude's starting to come out a little bit.
okay.
And that's probably all my fault. The attitude, probably the sass comes from me. I know that for a fact. But lately, instead of you tell him like, "Hey, we're not gonna play with the tablet right now," or "Hey, we're not gonna watch TV right now," he's become a negotiator.
I love it.
So he said, "So how about," he always starts, "So how about I do a good job, then I play on the tablet." I go, "No, that's not what I said. I said we're not doing that right now." He goes, "What if I behave or I do something good, then I'll play on the tablet?" I go, "Again,
Keep working this.
no,
Listen, I appreciate where you're coming from, but no's a no, pal.
I understand the negotiation tactics, but no, not going to happen."
Okay, well, how about...
But you deal with this
Yeah.
all day, every day at work too,
Yeah.
where it's like these big,
Yeah.
giant projects. No, it's not how this
But
works.
then what's kind of funny too, going back to the differences in Sophie and Vin. Sophie, as much as she's more of an introvert, she's very much a caring person. And so there was one day I wasn't feeling good, and she comes over and she's like patting me, and she brings me her toys because that's gonna make me feel better. And so she's got this very sweet, nurturing component to her. And Vin, he has that. He has that. I won't say he doesn't. But there was one day I remember, Brittany had been sick, had kind of a bug, coughing, and she always does bedtime. She reads to them bedtime every night.
Awesome.
And there was one night she was reading and she kept on coughing. And Vin just very politely, he goes, can you read but without the interruptions? and so
really
that's
ruining the story, Mom.
That's
I'm having a hard time understanding what you're
that's
saying,
Vin for
Mom.
you. He's a very, very matter of fact.
Yeah.
He's just
Without
comes
the
clean, tells
Gosh, that's
you what
funny.
the issue is.
But I like the interruptions
Like-
too. Not stop
Yeah.
coughing.
Yeah.
Without the interruptions, please.
and
The spin zone is real.
and even
over here.
for a while, it's just funny. His one, I think I'll go to this real quick, is that I credit my wife again with just about everything that has turned out amazing about our kids. But she started reading to Vin since he was born. So the day he was born, read to him every night. And his vocabulary, like he reads at like 2 or 3, 4 grade levels above where he's at now.
Dang.
And he's super advanced. But it's amazing the vocabulary that he's picked up. We were meeting with someone one time at school because sometimes loud noises just bother him. And so the teacher was trying to explain, hey, we can use these headphones to where you can still hear things, but it's not as loud, but you can still hear people talking. But if he goes, oh, you mean muffled? And she's like, well, I didn't think you knew that word, but
Clearly you do.
As a matter of
we're
fact,
using that word,
that's
I guess.
exactly what it is.
So that just the different things that he picks up on, and he's one of those kids that sometimes he gets along better with adults than he does kids. But yeah, he's such a hoot.
Matured up quick too, huh?
Yeah.
I love that. That's so funny.
That is great.
What about, you had said something about Sophia and food.
Yeah.
What's going on with Sophie and food?
So I think her love language is food.
Heck yeah, dude. Okay,
So,
tell me more about this.
I can relate.
We like to
You're not the fat guy in this room.
we like to veg out on food. It's funny. I'll be like, even on weekends, especially, is when I notice this. I'll be in my office either watching TV or just kind of hanging out. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing. Usually Vin's in his room reading. We're all doing our own thing, and I'll hear the pantry door open, and then I'll hear the ruffling of a package or something, and then I hear this little footsteps. And then just comes over to me with a bag of, whether it's, I don't know, just anything, pistachios or whatever. It's like, snack, please.
Open sesame.
All right. And of course, anytime you open a snack, you got to take advantage of the dad tax.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, show.
Chelsea has started saying dad tax back to me. Yes. Dad tax.
Yes.
That's right, baby.
Take it. Take it.
So that's kind of the funny thing that we've got. And then she really likes dipping sauces.
Okay.
So we like chicken nuggets, as most little kids do. Mm-hmm. And sometimes the hardest part is getting her to actually eat the food, because it's just sticking her whole hand in the packet of ranch or whatever barbecue and just...
We're just licking it.
Going right for it. Oh, I love that so much.
So yeah, food is definitely a fun thing with us. And it was so funny. A couple weeks ago, she had to get ear tubes put in. Super quick procedure, nothing like what we've endured with Vin. And afterwards, we asked her what she wanted, and she said she wanted donuts. And so we got the little mini donuts, cinnamon sugar, and she's still kind of out of it from being knocked out, but she's just sitting there in the back, living her best life, just eating one donut after another.
To chow town,
to the dome.
I told my wife, I said, you need to get a video of this, because she is living her best life.
Have you taken her to get the cronuts yet from that place over there?
That's where they were from.
That place freaking rules. What's it called?
Parlor.
Thank
Parlor
you.
donuts.
Oh, dude. Those are so good.
Maybe a sponsor?
Yeah. Hey, Parlor, please.
Yeah.
We'd be happy
donuts
to eat your
to go with
donuts
our coffee
on the podcast.
So funny. Well, I think we do have to jump to everybody's favorite part of the podcast.
As an avid listener, does Danny know?
It's Dad Joke of the Week. That's everybody's favorite part. And as alluded to earlier, Danny has been a long-awaited guest for this particular part of the podcast. That being said, I'm not going to make him go first.
Okay.
I was going to tell you guys about a friend of mine that I had in high school. They went to work for the Postal Service. Which, that's an awesome job. She was telling me that it's really hard for a woman to work there. It's a male-dominated industry.
Definitely is.
Yep.
Definitely is.
All right.
I wanted to get the bad ones out of the way early to let you go. What about you, DC?
Should I go then next? Yeah. Oh, man.
Come on, that was a good one, damn it.
Yeah. Some nice friend. Good friend. That's a good. They have good pension plans there.
Great.
But
no, I feel really good now.
Yeah, we got a government employee here. Relax.
No, I meant about the joke. I'm like, man, bars.
Yeah, bars.
down
Listen,
here.
buddy.
Let's build it up.
This
here.
is the Decent Dads podcast, not the good.
Right. Well, I don't know if you guys know, but I actually bought a limo the other day. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's so expensive, but that I can't actually afford somebody to drive it.
That's no good.
Right. So I have all this money invested in this car.
Right.
And nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it.
I like that one.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I was like, he cracked a smile. Okay, so we're building up.
It's all wordplay jokes today, apparently.
What do you got, Danny?
I guess I'm kind of going that way too.
I love it.
So we didn't plan this, but this kind of tease it up. What your outfit?
I love it.
Nice.
So
Cardigan.
I'm excited.
Grandpa.
I like to dress nice. I know you do too.
Yep.
Went shopping and got this really awesome sweater. Really, really nice, really comfy, but it was so staticky. Like every time I put it on, just super, super staticky. So I took it back to the store. You won't believe it. They gave me one free of charge.
All right, it's all wordplay.
Yes.
3 wordplay jokes.
I was shocked at the level of service.
It keeps going.
Attaboy, Danny.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
All right,
Put
see
you
you guys.
All right, get out of here. Good dad joke telling
Just
us.
mic dropping it. Yep.
Well, I had to bring my A game.
Yeah,
you
you did.
called me out by name.
Yeah.
Episode 1.
Well, how long? I mean,
Mission accomplished.
What started that? Because you started doing those on social media, and it's been years ago since you started
So
doing
yeah, a couple years after being a dad, I just I think every dad, as soon as you become a dad, you're like, okay, I need to know all these jokes
that.
now.
Yeah, right.
And so I would tell these jokes to Brittany. She would just roll her eyes.
She would not find them funny.
Not find them funny at all. And she's honestly the one that helped with this, but she started giving me every year a dad joke calendar.
Got one over there.
And so then
need one of those.
what started happening was then that first year, every day I would take a picture of
Yep.
it, post it on Facebook. Lost a lot of friends on Facebook.
You know who your true friends
But-
are. Okay.
that was just one of the things, and that's kind of how it all started.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just started sharing them and losing more and more friends, followers.
Hey, you know what? It's just culling the bad friends
Yeah.
out. That's all
Yeah.
that was.
Now I don't even have
So-
Facebook.
Yeah, now I don't have it anymore. No,
We're just glad you
but yeah.
started doing that.
but yeah, that's kind of how it all started, and it was so funny because you'd get the returning customers, I'll call them that, say,
Yeah,
say,
people
hey,
commenting.
this is amazing, I love it.
Keep it up.
And people be like, stop doing this. This is the only thing I see on my wall.
Don't be
And then other
hating.
people,
Don't
and then
be
other
hating.
people would be like, hey, I need that calendar. Send
Yeah.
me the link. And so I sold quite a few calendars, and I got no money for it.
Decent Dads
Yeah,
podcast
so-
branded dad joke calendars coming soon.
There's an idea.
Good idea, Danny.
There's an idea. There's an idea.
I only need
like
to cut
that.
just a small cut.
Yeah, we got you.
Right,
We got
yeah.
you. Finder's
Small
fee for
commission.
sure.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Well, we got to end every episode with our Decent Dad's motto, keeping the bar within reach.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But no, with all seriousness, we're here to build a community of dads to, share stories with, share experiences with, share jokes with, just
For
like
sure.
you did there. And excellent work, Danny. So if you guys have any of those, please share with us. We can be found on Spotify, YouTube, and now Apple Podcasts. So be sure and like and subscribe at those platforms.
Perfect. Yeah, all the social media stuff. Like, share, and subscribe. So,
Yep.
so glad you're here, man. Thank
Yeah,
you for
thanks.
agreeing to do this. This was a blast.
Only took 55
Long
episodes.
time coming. We're glad you're here. I guess all we really have to say is way to go, Decent Dad.
Way to go, Danny.
Thanks, guys.
Good job, buddy.
So unless anybody else has anything else,
I got nothing.
we'll wrap this thing up. All right. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Okay.
We're children, Danny. We're just freaking children.
Focus here, Brian.
Focus.
Serious podcast.
Focus.
Okay?
Focus.